Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of the Killer Author Club. We are so excited to welcome Killer Rachel Howzell Hall here to the club. Will she survive? We have tons to talk about, so grab your cocktail and your list of questions, and we will see you on the other side.
Welcome to the Killer Author Club. 3 best-selling authors talking about killing, of the fictional kind, with the best thriller and suspense authors in the business. Killer conversations, killer cocktails, and killer guests with your hosts, Kimberly Bell, Heather Gutenkopf, and Kara Ruda. This is the Killer Author Club.
I know that new intro is never going to get old. So,
our Killer Author Club song. I like
special thanks to Dylan Ruda, which might be a familiar name to everybody out there. So, Killer Kara's son, a very talented musician, put that together for us. So much fun. But hello to everybody, to all our new members, because we have a bunch of them, and to the Killer Author Club OGs on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube. Wherever you are watching, we are so glad to have you here with us. I'm Killer Heather Gutenkopf.
I'm Killer Kimberly Bell.
And I'm Killer Kara Ruda.
And we are so excited to welcome Killer Rachel to the Killer Author Clubhouse. We'll be talking all about what fire brings. Yay. And like always, we've got tons of killer fun planned for you tonight. So a reminder, drop your questions for Rachel in the comments. We'll be scouring them to try and ask as many of them as we possibly can. And in the meantime, Kimberly, will you introduce our special guest?
I would love to. Rachel Howzell Hall is the critically acclaimed author of the best-selling thrillers What Fire Brings, What Never Happened, These Toxic Things, and the Los Angeles Times Book Prize nominated Wall Street Journal and Amazon Charts bestseller, We Lie Here. She's been nominated for a number of mystery awards, including the Anthony, Strand, and International Thriller Award, the Lefty, Barry, and Shamus. Is that how you say it? She's also the author of the Los Angeles Times Book Prize nominated And Now She's Gone, and the author of the Audible Originals bestseller, See How They Run, and the Thriller Award and Audie Awards nominated How It Ends. Rachel is a New York Times bestselling author of The Good Sister, together with James Patterson. Who's that? She's also received acclaim for They All Fall Down and for her Detective Eloise Norton series. The first of her highly anticipated fantasy series, The Last One, will be published in December 2024. Rachel is a former member of the board of directors for Mystery Writers of America and was a featured writer on NPR's acclaimed Crime in the City series and the National Endowment for the Arts weekly podcast. She has also served as a mentor with Sisters in Crime, Pitch Wars, and the Association of Writers programs. She lives in Los Angeles with her husband and daughter. Congrats, Rachel, and welcome.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, we're thrilled to have you, and we can't wait to talk all about your book in great detail. But for now, could you give us just a quick hit about what Fire Brings?
What Fire Brings. So this book is a story about a writer. Well, she's supposed to be acting like a writer who goes to a writing retreat in lovely Topanga Hills here in Southern California to search for a friend who is missing. She went missing around that area, but she doesn't know where her friend is. She doesn't know what's going on, and it's fire season. So she needs to uncover the truth before everything, including where she's living, goes up in smoke. So it's a story about a woman trying to find her friend and trying to find herself, all during one of the worst times in Los Angeles weather history.
Love it. And we have tons and tons of questions, and reminder to drop yours in the comments so that we can add yours to our list. But first, let's talk about tonight's special drink.
Oh my gosh, she's got it.
It's so pretty.
The killers love our cocktails and mocktails. So every episode we ask our killer guests to come prepared with their favorite drink to share with us. I can't turn the page. Okay, and tonight is the paper plane. Rachel, tell us about the paper plane.
So I didn't even know this drink existed until maybe 2 or 3 years ago, when I was up at my brother's in Oakland, and my sister-in-law, who is a great mixologist, she made this thing called paper planes, and I'm like with the song from what's her face, she sang M whatever her name was, and we talked and we were drunk, so I don't even remember what the whole point of our conversation was. But I do remember how damn good this cocktail was. So I've been having, I'm not much of a mixologist. I will open up like tonic water and pour some Chambord or something in it. But my husband is. And so he has made me paper planes. And it's after sidecars, it's my favorite cocktail. Because they're so pretty too. I mean,
It's so pretty. Look at that.
it's so
That's really pretty.
Yeah.
It's got that orange kind of fiery vibe to it too.
Yeah.
So it fits
Yeah.
the
Matches the cover. All right.
Yes,
Perfect.
it does. I just noticed that.
Yeah,
Oh,
good
see?
branding, Rachel. You didn't even know.
I didn't even know. Mm.
But it's
Yeah.
perfect. All right. Well, thank you for sharing. So cheers, everybody.
cheers.
Cheers.
Congratulations.
Mm. That's
I bet
really
that's good.
good.
Killers and I started the Killer Author Club about 2 years ago so that readers like you get the chance to interact with some of the best suspense thriller authors in the biz. Our summer fall lineup includes superstars like Zoya Stage, Robert Dugoni, Sandra Block, Genevieve Rose, and so many, many more. For dates, times, past episodes, etc., surf to killerauthorclub.com. But tonight, we're here to talk about What Fire Brings, Rachel Howzell Hall's newest thriller. Kirkus Reviews said in a starved review, nothing is what it seems in the tour de force. Very true.
Thank you.
Booklist says classic Gothic and Hitchcockian themes take on post-COVID-19 twists here, fueling paranoia and shifting realities as Hall crafts harrowing what-ifs around writers' relationships with their stories.
Yeah.
So, Rachel, obviously you're a brilliant and accomplished killer.
Thank
Now we
you.
need to know the answer to your killer question. How do you kill?
Well, it's a very interesting question because I kill what I don't even expect that I'm killing. I will, for instance, we'll just go on vacation, say like back in May, Red Rock National Park outside of Las Vegas. We were in Red Rock because my mom had turned 80 and we wanted to take her somewhere other than the club to turn it up. And so we took her on a nice kind of tour of Red Rock. And we're taking this walking tour, and the guide points to like this bush. And he said, this is basically kind of like an almond tree, almond bush in a way. The Native American tribes would take the nuts from this bush and they'd make flour and, you know, all the things that you do with a nut. But he said, don't ever eat the leaves because the leaves are poison, which always makes me say, huh. So no one would expect the woman who would bring like these plants that look kind of just like pine tree needles or whatever, and you mash them up into your focaccia, for instance, or your salsa, and kill someone just like that. Interesting. And I stored that little nugget in my brain for the future. I've done that on every vacation that I've been on, where in Kauai, once again, we're walking somewhere on a trail from doing the zip line, and the guide is pointing to all the flora and fauna. He points to this plant where it looks like grape tomatoes. And he said, those are called turkey tomatoes. And it's like, okay, why? And he says, well, turkeys are the only creatures that can eat them and survive. And once again, my brain went, huh. So I could put this on a salad and no whatever.
Together with your rosemary
focaccia,
Yeah.
and it's a full meal of death. So that's how I kind of happen upon these ideas of how to get rid of people. in these
So,
lovely culinary inspired ways.
I
so you,
love it. Have you
you
used any of
learn how
those
to
in
sell
any
bake.
books?
I
Yeah.
have used a few, I can't remember where, because I think not in the last two, but earlier. I tend to, yes, I will slip them into, especially short stories where
Mm.
I think I did something similar in my short story, Breakdown in the Right Lane, which was in Alta, where cookies were the
Yeah.
vehicle. Yes. So
Mm.
yeah, I like things where people, you know, eat and but not an obvious kind of arsenic type thing, but
Yeah.
something that, yeah. And I'm doing it again in the series that I'm working on now for my for Thomas and Mercer, where it's food related.
Ooh.
I
Yeah.
like
So what you're saying is we should never come over to dinner.
Right?
I'm just kidding. I would love to
It,
come over to dinner. We could talk all kinds of,
we talk so
yeah,
much
we'd have
about
lots to talk about.
possibilities. Uh-huh.
Oh, so much fun. So we have so many questions for you. And so you have created Bailey Meadows. She's this
Mhm.
character who's working to earn her private investigator's license, and she's working with an organization that searches for missing people. And she herself has been a victim of a recent violent crime, and she finds herself in this completely different world,
Yeah.
Topanga Canyon. Where did the idea of Bailey come from for you?
A few ideas. First, I tend to write about women and Black women specifically who go into spaces that they're unfamiliar with, spaces where they don't belong, and just kind of making them cope with that. In this one, Bailey goes to Topanga Canyon, which is lovely, 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 but it's very, I wouldn't say, well, it's far from where I live. It's 39 miles, even though it's in Los Angeles County, but it's worlds away. And it was a place that I'd grown up with, knowing that, weird things happened up there.
Mm.
And so, it wasn't somewhere that I sought to be until I discovered a great restaurant up there in the seventh grade. And then it's like, ooh, I like this place, but it scares me. So it was that feeling of being uncomfortable. And also, I'd read a story, and I'm sure you all have read this story too, about a young teacher. It was from New York Magazine, where she'd been teaching, I think, on St. Lucia or St. Thomas, and the hurricane a few years ago wrecked that island, and she disappeared. Her parents didn't know where she was. They went to the island to look for her, and they could not find her until she landed somehow floating in the New York Harbor. No idea how she got there. She doesn't remember a thing. And they determined that she'd had a dissociative fugue. Well, here she was again. Her family's happy. And then she disappeared again. And up until a few months ago, they haven't found her.
Oh,
So it was one of these instances where trauma makes you do things that you have no idea that you're doing. I mean, some of my favorite stories are Shutter Island, Dennis Lehane,
mhm.
and Memento, and both deal with trauma, both deal with memory and identity. And all of that kind of inspired me to write this story. And also, when I was writing this, I was going through a pretty rough time, my family and I. My in-laws were dying and had passed. Our dog had died, and then my father died. And all this is within months of each other. And I found myself on autopilot a lot and just being in a place where it's like, well, how did I get here? Or just staring and time passing because there's so much going on that, your mind is just trying to protect you from
Mm.
everything that's happening. And so that really fed into what I wanted to talk about, which is
Mm.
your body will do what it needs to protect you. And if that means disappearing you somehow,
Mm.
it'll do that.
Fascinating. So was
Yeah.
it easier for you to write? Was it a distraction, or was that just like totally off the?
Oh, this was pretty hard for me to write. It's a pretty twisty book anyway.
Mm.
And then trying to write that when you're distracted with,
Yeah.
dementia for your, dealing with your parents, and hospice, and
Yeah.
all the stuff just making you distracted anyway, and trying to pace it out and plot it. It was nearly impossible for me. And it was the first time in my publishing experience, in my writing career, that I missed the deadline. I had to ask for an extension. And of course, Thomas and Mercer, Jessica Tribble, my editor, she's like, of course.
Yeah.
But it was weird for me because I never missed an outline. And this was one of those moments where no matter how badass you think you are, there's some things that are worse and will force you to do that thing you never thought you would. And I learned a lot about myself, that no matter how many times I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to write, as people know I do, it doesn't matter if your mind's somewhere else, if your lists are something other than what this book is going to be, you just won't be able to do that thing that you think you can do. So yeah, I grew up a lot writing this book over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you had to go through that. That is
Thank you.
a lot all at once.
Yeah, it was extraordinary. It was extraordinary. I mean, at one point it's like, is this real life? Do people think I'm faking? Because it's like, this is a lot, and month after month and
Yeah.
after month after month. But sometimes that's just how it goes, where life is stranger than fiction. We write about that all the time, where people are like, that couldn't happen. It's like, actually,
It just did.
you'd never believe it. Yeah.
Okay, switching gears a little bit. In the book, Bailey says, if the world can't find beautiful, rich, white Finley, what hope is there in finding the rest of us? And you really talk about the disparity in the media attention and resources when it comes to searching for people of color who've gone missing. It's a major theme throughout the book.
Yeah.
How can readers learn more about the topic, and why is it so important to you to tell the story fictionally and also open people's eyes?
Right. Because it has, I think no one, I believe, no one wants others to be ignored. I think all of us are good people, and we all know that resources are limited especially when it comes to searching for those who have lost. And so sometimes the prettiest, like in life, the prettiest person gets the prize. And, when you move back away from that, we all can say, yeah, that kind of sucks. So I'm appealing to that kind of shared humanity, that no one wants anyone's loved ones to go missing. So that's one thing I wrote about, to try and get people to understand just how scary and sad that can be for both the missing and both the family and loved ones who are left behind trying to find resolution. I used a bunch of resources when it came to understanding the missing, and those organizations who do search for them. The Charlie Project is one big organization that I just kind of happened upon, and they will list those who are missing, as well as any resolution that comes as a result of people, pitching in and looking. So, yeah, I as a parent, especially, it terrifies me when young women go missing, because that's someone's daughter. I mean, just statistically, we're all women here, and we've all dealt with scary situations, maybe on varying degrees, but it doesn't take a lot for someone to be here and then not be here.
Yeah.
And it's always a wonderful thing when someone's found. So I want everyone to be found. I want everyone to be like an Elizabeth Smart, where you were taken, but then, through tenacity and the grace of God, you return to your family. Now, what happens after that, when you do return, that's something else. That's a continued trauma that, I kind of talk about in the book. It's like, yeah, what is resolution? What is being healed? We've all experienced awful, awful things, and are we really healed from that? Or are we just, doing the best we can with what we got
Mhm.
until something comes and pokes it, and then there we are again.
Mhm.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And while Bailey is searching for this missing person, Sam, she goes undercover as a writer to work with this really famous author named Jack Beckham, and he's very revered and very popular, and he comes really across as this very benevolent,
Uh-huh.
giving person, but underneath it, you kind of get this little ick. He's got like this little ick factor as well. Um,
Uh-huh.
can I ask, is he based on anybody?
Based on a
Or
lot of people, and we probably know all those men.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's from a lot of writers that I've met and heard about, and he's also inspired by. There's this guy who is very, very rich. He's not a writer. Well, he's not technically a writer, but he's this tech billionaire guy who wants to live forever, and he's used his son's blood to like live longer, and just really, really weird. And so I based him off that too. So he's a whole bunch of problematic men that I'm like, "Ugh."
you described him and conveyed him really well. I mean, just as I could just picture him. And I was like, how can I not like this guy? He's like helping everybody, but then
Right?
just undercurrent of
Like,
it.
you're helping, but there's something about you. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I wanted to ask you about a piece of dialogue. Bailey and Jack are having a conversation about writing, and Jack says, "Do you think people who had happy childhoods can write good murder stories?" Do tell. Do you think?
Well, I wonder. I ask that. I ask that question all the time of like family members and like writing friends. I don't know. I want to say that a happy childhood would not make a good mystery writer. But then when I think about it, I think about my own kid's life, and her life has been so much, happier than mine. Are there things that she can complain about? Of course. Um, but does she like, is she scared of things? I mean, she's scared of things that being any kind of woman will make you scared of.
Yeah.
But childhood, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I just find it fascinating that there is no, I mean, what do you guys think?
Well, I get asked all the time if I've had a traumatic childhood because
Mm-hmm.
that's what I write.
Yeah.
And I can thankfully say that I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, they ask, well, how can you write about all these dark, scary things? And I think for me, just for me, is I grew up in a household where creativity was encouraged,
Mm-hmm.
and they fostered that, where
Yeah.
okay, be who you are, write what you want, and you can go safely into those dark places because it is
Right.
safe. But that said, we all have had those dark moments in our lives and
Right.
experiences that I think
And
we
what is in
I don't know what
trauma?
you guys think.
Yeah, trauma is so subjective too, because I saw growing up, I saw a lot. I saw violence outside my home, and someone could say, "Well, I can show you real violence, and yours is nothing." Like I remember when my first mystery came out, Land of Shadows, and I had a UK publisher, and they came over to do a photo shoot with me so that for a feature for the UK Times. And I took him to my old neighborhood. In my old neighborhood, if you've ever seen Training Day with Denzel Washington and Ethan Hawke, that's my neighborhood. That is literally my neighborhood. And so I took the photographer there, and he's like, "This is it?" Because it's Los Angeles. Los Angeles, we have beautiful skies, we have palm trees, everybody's pretty. He was picturing when he thought of when a European thinks of ghetto
Yeah.
and poor, they think East Coast. They think, Chicago and Philly and the tenements, high rise and trash everywhere, not a big blue sky and pretty people in shiny washed cars. And he was pretty disappointed. And it's like, well, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, but this yeah, I mean, so
Yeah.
trauma is subjective. What people want to see, they'll see. And so I don't know the answer to that. I just know that um, I have lots to pull from, which helps with writing about some of the worst things that could happen to people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Kimberly, I think it's.
I know. We're going to go from that
I know.
something really fun because Rachel has 2 copies of What Fire Brings to give away tonight to lucky US viewers. It doesn't matter if you are watching this on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram or wherever, because we scour the comments everywhere. But please do make sure to shout out where you're from so we know. When you answer this question, which well-known thriller writer did Rachel collaborate with to write The Good Sister?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, who could it be?
Okay, you guys, the Killers love indies, as you guys all know, and we want to support them any way we can. So we asked all of our guests to pick their favorite indie and tell us about it. Rachel has chosen Village Ball Coffee and Books in Culver City. Rachel, can you tell us why?
Well, it's a really cute bookstore. While it's charming and small, it's big and has everything. And there's coffee shop there and movie theaters down there. It's like placed perfectly. And they're so friendly. They host lots of events for mystery crime writers, even those of us who, write with Thomas and Mercer, Lake Union. They order our books and they support us. So that
Nice.
is why.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to support us.
Yes. Yes. I just dropped the link in the comments so you guys can run over there and pick up a copy of the book.
Or visit virtually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
As much as we'd love to invite every amazing killer author to be featured on the show, there are so many and only 3 of us, as you know. We also write some books of our own. So tonight, Killer Kara has some very exciting news, and we are so excited to be able to share the brand new cover for What the Nanny Saw. So I'm going to share that right now. Here it comes. Look at that. That's gorgeous.
How cool.
It's a totally gripping psychological thriller with a killer twist, and it will be here in November, and we will drop a pre-order link in the comments. That's beautiful, Kara. Are you so excited?
Beautiful.
I am. I'm back to my pouting lady faces. I was always pouting ladies, and then I kind of went away, and now I'm back to pouting ladies. So yes, I love her. She looks a little sinister and pouting, so we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll just have to see.
Perfect. Yeah. And we also have 2 other wonderful releases to celebrate tonight as well. First, we have Honeycomb, which by SB Caves, which came out on July 9th. 7 days, 6 strangers, 1 experimental drug. Suspense and intrigue arise when a burned-out pop star is recruited for an experimental reality show in which contestants are exposed to a mysterious new drug in a secluded mansion. Wow. That sounds really good. And then next we have The Best Lies by David Ellis. And Leo Baniloff is a diagnosed pathological liar with unthinkable skeletons in his family's closet. He's also a crusading attorney who seeks justice at all costs. When a ruthless drug dealer is found dead and Leo's fingerprints show up on the murder weapon, no one believes a word he says. So drop a comment if you'd like to be entered for either or both of these books. And remember to tell us where you're from. Good luck.
Awesome. Oh, is it me? Is it me? Membership has its privileges, you guys. So if you're on Facebook, check out our private members only group called the Killer Author Clubhouse. And speaking of the Clubhouse, we have some breaking killer news. As of Wednesday, August 21st, the Killers will be merging our 2 Facebook groups. We want to streamline all the killer fun into one spot and make our lives just a wee bit easier. Our private group, the Killer Author Clubhouse, is now the one and only place where all the killer magic will be found. Here's what you need to do if you're not already a member. Just request to join. All you have to do is hit request to join and we will let you in. And I'm dropping the link into the comments right now. But if you've ever watched one of these, you also know that we choose a winner from the clubhouse to get a piece of swag. And tonight's winner is Christine Zimmerman Brandenburg. Christine, please send us killers your address and we will send some killer author swag your way, like that, for example.
Okay, Rachel, we've got some great news for you. You have survived the Killer Author Club. Yay! So this means we will send you your very own badge that you can put on your wall or just wear it with you everywhere you go. So we're so grateful that you came and talked to us. And we could have talked to you much longer. I told these guys before the show, like, Rachel has the best stories and she's such I don't even think we'll get through half the questions, which we didn't, but we love you here.
Oh, well, thank you. I am so honored to be a part of the Killer Author Club. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so that does it for tonight's episode, everyone. Thank you for everyone who tuned in. And thank you, Rachel, for being here. Absolutely love the book. And also big thank you to our friends at bookreporter.com for sharing Killer Author Club news with their readers. For all your bookish news and reviews, check them out at bookreporter.com. And we'll be back again next week at our usual Tuesday night time, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, with the one and only Zoya Stage, who will be talking all about Dear Hannah, the follow-up to the delightfully creepy Baby Teeth. In the meantime, please find us wasting entirely too much time on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, all the places. And for all the information you need, times, upcoming schedules, past episodes, recipes, and merch, surf to killerauthorclub.com. Thank you all for tuning in.
Good night, everybody. And now our new song.
That does it for tonight's show. Thank you for tuning in. If you'd like to catch our next show live, we're every other Tuesday night on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. For times, upcoming schedule, and to catch up on past episodes, visit us at killerauthorclub.com. Happy reading. Now get on out there and kill that TBR.